Hundreds of creatures swim through these doors every day in our undersea community, depending on you to serve them nutritious, delicious, reasonably priced food in a clean, family-friendly environment.
Look! I've been standing around on my tentacles since 8 o'clock this morning, and I don't have the strength to listen to this.
Here's an extended fact about SpongeBob Squarepants. When SpongeBob Squarepants first came out in 1999, and up until the release of the SpongeBob Squarepants movie in 2004, the show was something else. It had toys, games, theme park rides, fans, the people rejoice in the SpongeBob room. But ever since then, the show has been on an obvious decline. Sure, there's the occasional game, an episode that gets well received, but now the show exists as just nothing. How did this happen? Well, that's what we're going to discuss right after we talk about another show for like 2 minutes. Trust me, it's important. Rocko's Modern Life is a very important Nicktoon as it spawned the careers of many significant creators such as Dan Povenmire and Swampy Marsh, the creators of Phineas and Ferb, Glomlin, the third co-creator of Smiling Friends, and the one that's important for this video, Stephen Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob, who originally did not see himself being a cartoonist. You see, Hillenburg was at the time a big fan of the manga series JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, specifically the character Jotaro Kujo, who, during the story arc Diamond is Unbreakable, is revealed to be a marine biologist, which caused Hillenburg to pursue a similar career. But of course, as a weeb, he drew a bunch of comics usually starring the subjects of his study. If you couldn't tell, this would be the base of the iconic aquatic show we all know. It even has Spongebob. I'm going to elaborate on this in a second, don't worry. Eventually, he would ditch the marine life and start working for Nickelodeon on the show Rocko's Modern Life. The thing about Rocko is that much like the earlier Ren and Stimpy show, it pushed the boundaries of what was allowed on television, especially for kids, with subtle jokes about adult subjects and dark humor. There was even an episode about a character going to hell, though it was called heck as censors. Hillenburg was the creative director for many episodes, including a scrapped episode called Eldritch My Heart, which would have had Heifer and Filbert summon an eldritch abomination, which Heifer would fall in love with. As a fun nod to the comics he made before, Hillenburg decided to name the creature after SpongeBob. This would have dire consequences for the future of television. It would be the start of something that we could dare not comprehend. The episode was scrapped because of a sex joke that Nickelodeon execs thought was too far. When Rocko was cancelled, Hillenburg decided to pitch a new show to Nickelodeon, once again based off of SpongeBob. The show got picked up by the network, and all was going well until one fateful night when Hillenburg was sound asleep, he was suddenly awoken by a screeching whale. Stephen rose from his bed and immediately grabbed a flashlight and shone it at the corner of his room. There he saw a disfigured version of SpongeBob, which slowly grew eyes and a mouth, and spoke while staring directly at Hillenburg.
"Don't name SpongeBob,"
the entity said in a demented version of Tom Kenny's voice.
"Don't name SpongeBob."
The next day, when Hillenburg got to the office, there was a man with yellowish skin who claimed to be a lawyer who represented the SpongeBob Mop Company, and told him to change the name to something else or they would face legal action. The marine cartoonist, still processing his nightmare, agreed. Then, Glomlin passed by Hillenburg while saying hi, causing him to turn around to say hi back. When he turned back around, the lawyer was gone, nowhere to be seen. From both incidents, it was decided not to risk legal or lethal issues, and it was decided to change SpongeBob's name to Spongebob and give him Squarepants to avoid a similar confrontation with the Coneheads. But otherwise, the development of this series went relatively smoothly.
Hey, Patrick, how about a glass of delicious, creamy chocolate milk?
Oh, yummy! I love chocolate milk!
SpongeBob Squarepants premiered on May 1st, 1999, and the rest is history. Most of you already know what the show is about, but I want to make the video unnecessarily longer, so I'm going to sum up the premise for you. SpongeBob is a very whimsical and childlike sponge who almost got associated with a mop. There's Patrick, who's SpongeBob's best friend and general no-brain. Squidward is the poor bastard who lives in between the two. Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob and Squidward's boss, who's also sort of a father figure to SpongeBob. Then there's Sandy, a land squirrel who's Texan and very proud of that. Do you think Sandy hates gays? Lastly, there's Plankton, who keeps trying to steal Mr. Krabs' secret recipe for really cool burgers, aka Krabby Patties. But wait, where does the meat come from? Oh, the horror, he's feeding fish to other fish, except he's not. It's been confirmed by Hillenberg that the meat is actually completely vegetarian, and it's been confirmed for so long. I only bring this up because I've seen an uptick of people claiming that the Krabby Patties are made of fish, citing the goddamn robot chicken skit as a source. This doesn't have anything to do with the topic, I just wanted to rant about this. Who says you can't learn anything from a FactsAbout video? Besides most people. However, to slightly change the topic back on track, Plankton sells chum, which is the guts and blood of fish crammed together. So Plankton is really the undersea Sweeney Todd here. This is also why Plankton is after the Krabby Patty formula, because honestly, if you had to choose between McDonald's and a cannibal deli, you'd either prove my point or the police are coming for you. But you know how it went. You were there for it and or saw the beginning of the video. People went crazy for the sponge. Arguably, they still do. But nothing good lasts forever. After the movie came out, a lot of the crew left to work on other projects, including Hillenberg. And then from that came new writers. How did they do? Well, you're about to find out with the subtitle of the next chapter. SpongeBob Season 4 is what many fans consider a downer for the show. The jokes were more childish, characters were heavily simplified, Patrick was a lot meaner, Mr. Krabs is so in SpongeBob and now only cares about cash, SpongeBob was really stalkerish towards Squidward. Squidward got a lot of shit thrown his way just for being in SpongeBob Season 4. At least Sandy changed her ways of homophobia and advanced her career in science. And fans, mostly adults, noticed this change, with various responses ranging to just not watching new episodes to taking to the internet to talk about the show. Let's look at one of these quote-unquote internet posts, talking about a few of the writers. Alright, you three. What's the word I'm looking for? Dipshits? No, that word is too good for you. Assholes? No, that's not quite right either. Fuckers? No, I'm just gonna call you three excuses for humanity until I can find a description that suits your crude, childish, idiotic, and juvenile, talentless asses. What reality do you three live in? I really want to know. I'm genuinely curious. In this reality, it's conventional wisdom that it actually takes an adult to write for children. What am I saying? That's not fair. Children would make better writers than you three. Hell, infants would. My dog would, you mindless, degenerate hacks. You three may want to thank your lucky stars every second of every day that whatever the fuck you sold your souls to was stupid enough to give you your jobs. Because if you lose your jobs writing this trite shit, you'll most likely never work again. Not just in television, but in any job. I don't know how anyone would lower themselves so substantially to even reluctantly want your dimensioned, poisoned minds around. Just leave us all alone and go back to the fucking sludge you came from. It seemed that SpongeBob was destined to be one of those shows that kept going and going, and were on the air forever because casual viewers would still eat it up, such as The Simpsons, Young and the Restless, and the NFL. And just because I know some of you are going to ask me to elaborate, 50 seasons and 12,500 episodes. Holy Jeff. Another problem people had was the impossible standard that other shows were put up to. The thing is, while adult fans didn't like this new SpongeBob, the kids still ate it up. So the show was still getting consistent viewers. So whenever a show didn't get the views of the most watched Nick show in the first or second season, canceled. The only show that has avoided this curse is The Loud House, aka the show so popular that the largest piece of literature is a self-insert fanfiction of it. Every other show was out of luck. There were some like SpongeBob things though. There was a stop-motion Christmas special, and then a sequel movie came out once again that people really liked. I wonder why. Is it because Steven Hillenberg came out? Maybe. Perhaps he is ready to return? Yes! At the end of Season 9, Hillenberg took a bigger role in the show. So let's take a look at where this goes. An early Season 10 episode that caught people's attention was Mimic Madness. In this episode, SpongeBob starts doing impressions of other characters, even shifting his head to resemble the subject of his mimicry, and slowly forgot who he was. This sounds familiar. People who grew up with SpongeBob and stopped watching when they got older started talking. Was SpongeBob back? Is it as good as Remember? And it seems so, except for Ink Lemonade. We don't talk about Ink Lemonade. However, it wouldn't last long as Hillenberg would move to another farm to chase butterflies during production of Season 12. During said season, an episode called SpongeBob and Randomland aired, in which there was a shot of Squidward's head with red eyes. This was not supposed to be in the episode. Luckily, it resembled the creepypasta Squidward's suicide, so it was just passed off as a fun reference to the notorious internet story. Later airings of the episode feature a baby Squidward, which was also passed off because of the ties to the pasta. Also around this time, Nickelodeon announced 2 spin-offs. Let's take a little calm before the storm detour and talk about these spin-offs. There were 2 spin-off shows made for Spongebob. The first one is Camp Coral, a prequel series where SpongeBob goes to summer camp and everyone from the main show is there. Even though SpongeBob didn't meet Mr. Krabs or Sandy before the main show. Because the continuity of a show whose episodes sometimes end with everyone blowing up is very important. The Patrick Star Show stars Patrick, what was his last name? Whatever. Creating his own TV show with the help of his sister Squidina and his parents, who are different from the parents from the original series. Once again, they're neglecting the continuity of a show where fire only goes out when somebody acknowledges they're underwater. What the hell? The only reason I bring this up is that it's important because these shows would tie into the main one. Let's continue. SpongeBob Season 13 was the start of the true decline of the show. There were some reasons that were in the last era that I neglected to mention. For one, the show would constantly reference popular jokes from the classic era. A good example to show how far this went, you know that one bit where a fish yells, "My leg!" An otherwise blank or whatever your equivalent there is, or miss bit that blew up online? Now this fish, named Fred, is just a reoccurring character whose entire bit is his leg getting hurt. There was even a full episode about it. Also, a bunch of characters, mostly from spin-offs, also appear frequently, like Squidina and this narwhal lady. Bubble Bass also frequently appears now. A character who only appeared in 2 episodes previously is now just this nerd character. The show was also trying to go viral, giving characters way more wacky expressions to perhaps catch a meme maker's imagination. The closest thing that ever came close to this happening was a clip of SpongeBob caressing someone's driver's license. Even if I could show this clip, I wouldn't. And SpongeBob and its spin-offs had crossovers. I don't care, moving on. So that's where SpongeBob is right now. Just a mediocre show that exists in the same vein as The Simpsons. Just for the sake of it. Is what I would be saying if things went correctly. You know what happens next. One evening, unexpectedly on Nickelodeon, in a time slot that was normally for SpongeBob reruns, a SpongeBob special aired called The SpongeBob Mystery Hour. It was an hour-long special about SpongeBob and Patrick finding out Sandy is missing, and so they become detectives. Turns out Sandy went to the grocery store to get some milk. The special was very well received, and when the special aired again the following day at the same time, more people tuned in. There was a problem, though. Internally at Nick, no one knew who was responsible. There were no credits, no scripts, no storyboards. The voice actors didn't even remember recording those lines. There were no advertisements for the episode either. It just aired unexpectedly. It even appeared on Paramount Plus. No one knew who uploaded it. But it became a hit, bringing people to the streaming service. A few months later, another SpongeBob Mystery Hour came out. This time, the Krabby Patty secret formula was stolen. This time, the obvious suspect, Plankton, joined SpongeBob and Patrick in order to clear his name. At the end of the episode, it was revealed that the real thief was a new character named Gonzly. He looked just like SpongeBob, but in rags and eyes of different sizes. Once again, it was a hit, but no one knew where it came from. However, Nick execs had a good idea. Let's make a mystery hour ourselves. And they did. But when they aired it, it wasn't the special they made. Same deal as the last 2 times. No traces, no credits. They decided to capitalize off the hype of the specials by making episodes of the main show that included Gonzly. Though when the episode aired, they would change. While the plot would generally follow the same plot, the jokes were changed and characters were characterized more consistently with the older episodes. No traces of these changes were found, but this got people talking. So, Nick execs didn't mind. Some members of the SpongeBob team started to suspect that the execs were using AI to make these episodes behind their backs. However, after experimenting with every AI they found that had the capabilities to make a SpongeBob episode, none of them could create one like the mysterious episodes. But hey, for the 3rd time, SpongeBob was good, and just as popular as back in the day. People were rejoicing in their SpongeBob rooms again. This would continue for a bit, until something unusual happened. By season 21, every episode would be transformed. The creative team realized that they didn't have to try. They just had to make an interesting episode layout, and everything was basically done for them. However, this is when the problems started. One day, an intern slipped on a random sponge. It was assumed that it was left there accidentally by a janitor. However, it happened again, and then again, and then again. It happened multiple times in Nick HQ until one storyboarder suffered a broken tailbone. And multiple instances of sponge slips were happening to people outside of the HQ, happening anywhere between minutes to hours after they watched a Spongebob episode. And sometimes it would happen on surfaces that a sponge wouldn't slip on. People were getting hurt. The team knew something was going on. They tried everything to get the changes to the show to stop. They would remove Gonsley from episodes only for him to be put back in. They messed with air times, but it would still air at the normal time. Nothing would work. They couldn't get whatever was causing the sponges to go away. However, one day during a rerun of The Loud House, a background character was changed to have the asymmetrical eyes and red clothing of Spongebob. There was something wrong, but no one knew what. These gonzifications kept popping up in every Nick show, even in Nick Jr. shows and films that Nick bought the rights to air, and no one could figure out why. Then, believe it or not, online videos with SpongeBob started manifesting these gonzlies. That's why I haven't been using footage of the show, because I don't want this video to get infected by the gonzlies. Though I've heard that while they were still around, Paramount would strike down videos if they used too much footage. During the confusion, SpongeBob Mystery Hour 15 aired. This time it revolved around Gonsley and Patrick trying to find SpongeBob after he went missing. When they found SpongeBob, he had Gonsley's eyes, but it was not acknowledged. Every airing/stream of a SpongeBob show since would give him the eyes. Everyone was in panic mode. The eventual conclusion was that they had to stop the show, which they did. Episodes stopped production, but in their place completely new episodes never seen before would appear. They decided for the greater good that the cord needed to be cut. Nickelodeon had to go off the air. And so they literally went and unplugged everything, and that seemed to work. However, the next day, everything was plugged back in. When anyone tried to enter the room, they would slip on a sponge. They couldn't do anything about it. Gonsley was out of control. The network's time slot was overtaken by SpongeBob. Gonsley's even started happening in other animated shows connected to Paramount, most notably South Park. SpongeBob Mystery Hour 23 would soon come out. Gonsley and Mr. Krabs had to solve the murder of SpongeBob after he slipped on a sponge. Despite the dark premise, the episode was lighthearted, treating the discovery of the body as a joke. At the end, the culprit turned out to be bubble baths. This special was the last time SpongeBob appeared on the network. Not the show, it still aired, but Gonsley took the place of SpongeBob, even replacing him in older episodes. The team was terrified, but people kept watching and enjoying the show. The sponges were more frequent as well, even to people who saw memes which used SpongeBob. One night, SpongeBob Mystery Hour 24 aired at 11 p.m. It followed Gonsley and Patrick having to solve the mystery of where Patrick's pickle went. After it was discovered that Patrick ate it and forgot, the two have this interaction, which, in order to avoid Gonsley, I'm going to voice myself. What a fun mystery, Gonsley!
Please, call me Spongebob.
Alright, Spongebob, wanna go to Sandy's?
Sure, hopefully we don't have to solve another mystery.
After this special, every Paramount network was taken over, only airing the SpongeBob Mystery Hours in order. Paramount Plus was made free, but only offered the 24 specials. Another thing that happened was that Nick employees and fans of the show, much like the Sponges, started getting painful cramps. However, upon analysis by medical personnel, they were doing the cramp dance from the Season 5 episode, Slimy Dancing. Similar to the dancing plague, they could not stop cramp dancing. It's kind of surreal when you think about it. A small thing turning into such a massive thing. SpongeBob started out as a fun show created by a guy who liked fish and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it turned into this. Imagine being the one who created SpongeBob. Have you ever thought about SpongeBob's influence? Every show wanted to be the next SpongeBob, which meant their humor was inspired by the show. Basically, everyone under 30's sense of humor was in some part caused by this show. There will hopefully never be anything like SpongeBob again, at least not to the lengths that we saw. Thanks for watching, FactsAbout Truthers.